wherever you're joining. Got it. Okay, sorry. So wherever you're joining from, we're just glad that you could make it today. This is the second in our three-part series of webinars leading up to the Africa Early Stage Investor Summit, being organized by African Business Angel Network and the VC4A. So for this particular series, AEDIBNET and VC4A is partnering with the EU's African European Digital Innovation Bridge Network to bring this to you. This collaboration is basically aimed at looking at certain key areas where it doesn't seem like a lot of investments are going in. So we're looking at agribusiness, which we looked at the last month. We're looking today at Cleantech, and the next will be on smart cities. So tonight, to formally welcome everybody, it is my pleasure to call up a man with a passion for the growth of Africa's startup ecosystem. He's a relentless crusader for the angel movement in Africa. He is the president of the African Business Angel Network, Mr. H. Tommy Davis. Please make him welcome with a round of applause as he makes the formal opening remarks. TD, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much, Phil. And a very, very warm welcome to all of you who have managed to make it here today. Phil set the context and what I really... I think you need to mute.
Mute everybody. Everybody needs to be muted.
Okay. Thank you. So where was I? I was talking about early growth stage investment and innovations in Africa, but specifically today, we want to talk about clean technology, in short, clean tech. Now, just so we set context, clean tech is any process or product or service that actually reduces the negative environmental impacts through either significant energy efficiency improvements, and you're going to hear from some of the founders here today who are doing that, sustainable use of resources. There are other founders doing that on this call today, environmental protection activities. So again, those are sort of the three critical areas, quite broad-based, that come under clean tech. And what we at AEDIBNET are trying to do is to actually put together sector-specific angel groups that are looking at these areas that we consider have gone from neglect to critical. Clean tech being the second, as Phil mentioned. And what we are doing is identifying people like some of the people you're going to be hearing from today, who are stakeholders in that ecosystem, to celebrate their participation in the hope that it will inspire others to join them in the efforts we are making to bring these critical sectors to focus for the angel investment ecosystem and the early stage ecosystem across the African continent. We are not saying today's the end. We're hoping today is actually the beginning of those conversations. And you'll hear from people today like Khaled and others who are doing amazing things. People like Uche, like OK, and all doing fascinating things around clean tech, talking about their experiences and sharing it. What we're hoping is that this is the beginning of that conversation around clean tech on the continent, and that you get in touch with the AEDIBNET Secretariat to join us in having that conversation. Thank you once again for being here. My name is Tommy Davis. I am the president of the Africa Business Angel Network, and we're in partnership with Venture Capital for Africa, VC4A, AEDIBNET, and a whole bunch of others to bring this to you. I hope you enjoy it. as we drive towards, in November, the African Early Stage Investment Summit 2022. Thank you very much for listening and enjoy yourself. Back to you, Phil.
Thank you very much, TD, for that sharp, incisive, straight to the point welcome. And so now that we're all settled in, I have the pleasure to welcome, call up Nanko Madu of AfriLab. She's the Director of Programs of AfriLab. She'll be giving us an overview of the clean tech ecosystem in Africa. So Nanko, over to you. The stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? It's a pleasure being here today to just discuss about this very growing sector ecosystem, the clean tech ecosystem in Africa. So over the years, although sub-Saharan Africa produces less than 4% of the world's greenhouse emissions, the region's ecological systems have already been impacted by planet-scale warming. In fact, Africa has been dealing with the impact of climate change since the 70s and just recently coming to the realization that it is a real threat. Perhaps more worryingly, according to IPCC asserts, it asserts that drought, desertification, scarcity of resources have led to heightened conflicts between crop farmers and cattle herders, and weak governance has led to social breakdown. The shrinking of Lake Chad is leading to economic marginalization and providing a breeding ground for recruitment by terrorist groups as social values and moral authorities evaporate. Now, what is unique about the global climate crisis is that it is a challenge which demands one skill that has long evaded modern political institutions. And that this is not only unique to Africa, but across the world. And this skill is precise, effective, coordinated action. Africa has seen the steady rise of startup ecosystems in what we call now the Big Four, looking at Lagos, Nigeria, Nairobi, Kenya, Cape Town, South Africa, and Accra. More specifically, the explosion of fintech options has laid the foundation for the ecosystem, while at the same time providing an opportunity for future growth in other sectors. However, it is now time for the ecosystem to mature to even hairier problems. Indeed, if Africa is to face its climate challenges head on, it must turn to startups as innovators, as the modern innovators to do so. In desperate times, they say it is better to ask for forgiveness than to wait for permission. Now, access to reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy resources, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, is a key priority. Around 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity, accounting for nearly half of the continent's population. We're nearly 1.2 billion people. So imagine that half of us lack electricity. Millions of new jobs can be created in Africa with long-term industrial policy and focused skill development. It's projected that by the year 2030, doubling the share of renewable energies in the global economy will add up to 1.1% to the global gross domestic product. And this will result to 3.7% increase in global well-being and nearly 24 million new jobs in the renewable energy sector. I'm giving you all these statistics so you see, or you have a background of, how large the challenge is and how why we need to do something about it. In the last few years, the clean tech ecosystem has been on a resurgence of sorts because these aforementioned challenges are no longer simply ideas on the minds of climatologists, but rather actual events that impact Africa and beyond. Clean tech is not a traditional sector, it is cross-sectional. Clean tech is not a traditional sector. It is cross-sectional and plays a role in various industrial and non-industrial sectors, including energy, circular economy, mobility, air, water, soil, name it all. Cleantech develops products, it processes and provides services that improves both operational and environmental performance. Now, the race to mitigate the effects of climate change on the environment is intensifying, and global investment in clean technologies is pushing the sector towards becoming a $1 trillion industry, making this webinar that we're having dedicated to unpacking investment opportunities in the sector, a critical initiative to attract investors from around the world to African clean tech market. Africa's clean tech sector has exploded recently with a record number of investment in 2021. The development of tech talent, as well as the empowerment of female startup leaders and developers, is a fundamental component of this expansion. According to available data, in VC alone, funding to cleantech grew 5 times faster than the wider industry between 2013 and 2019, and the surge has not stopped. In the first half of this year, startups focused on climate tech got more VC funds than they did in 2019. Some of these startups include Haven Hill Synergy Limited. It's a Nigerian cleantech business that recently raised $4.6 million from Chapel Hill Denham Nigeria Infrastructure Debt Fund, the NDIF, to help build 22 smart solar mini grids in Nigeria. We also have the Weed Energy Africa, a Zambian women-led energy startup, which received an undisclosed investment from Shequity, an investment vehicle that provides smart and sustainable investment to African women entrepreneurs and innovators. Lastly, I also want to mention Brayfall Technologies, a Johannesburg-based clean tech startup, which also received an undisclosed amount of funding from Catapult Ocean. To bring this home, one of the high-impact co-investment solutions for all investors interested in the African market is the Catalytic Africa Fund. I'm sure most of you know about this fund. It is a matching fund by the African Business Angel Network, ABAN, one of our hosts for today, and AfriLabs, the organization that I work for. It aims at strengthening African startups, innovation hubs, and angel investors while delivering impact results to institutional funders. This is achieved through co-investment with angel investors in innovative startups across various sectors, including clean tech, with matching funds in the form of a grant. More than 50 angel networks and over 1,200 angel investors are currently active on the platform, which spans 34 African nations. And so AfriLabs has played a key role in supporting innovation centers across the continent to better support their communities of innovators and startups. And one of the things that we have recently done, or recently activated and we're doing, is building the capacity of the hubs to have a niche in specific sectors. So include one of our biggest sectors that we're looking into now is the clean tech climate change sector, where innovators will be supported to incubate, accelerate, and scale their clean tech ventures and prepare them to be investment ready. I would just want to touch on one stakeholder that is very critical in just ensuring that the market, the clean tech market and the sector succeeds, and that is the policymakers and regulations who have been recognized as key components of spurring the development of clean tech, alongside other factors such as research and development, financing, and infrastructure. As such, strong regulatory support for clean tech can be an important driver to help to encourage market adoption of clean tech technologies, spurring demands in the economy, along with efforts to tackle any barriers to entry into the market. Since the 70s, environmental regulations, like I said earlier, in developed countries became much more stringent as part of the wave of new social regulation, reflecting greater government willingness to intervene in the market. And the African governments, country governments cannot be left behind. it's very important that they are part of this of driving this sector by putting the right policies in place to ensure that startups within the clean tech sectors are successful. Clean tech regulations can support innovation by requiring changes to both how companies operate and the technologies they use in clean tech regulation. It will not only provide economic benefits for companies and society, but also deliver reduced environmental pollution, which enhances the well-being of the citizens. In summary, clean tech is projected to be a $4 trillion USD sector in the next 2 years to address Africa's energy and environmental crisis. Innovation clean tech firms, in conjunction with governments, NGOs, investors, particularly angel investors, will take collective actions. Investors in particular should invest in high impact clean tech startups and get them investment ready and get them investment, as the overall investment in the sector grows, clean energy will become even more efficient and affordable. Thank you, and really pleased to be here, like I said earlier, and excited for the conversation. Thank you.
Wow, that was such an in-depth overview of the system. Thank you very much, Nanko, and thank you also for the great work that you're doing at AfriLab to improve the startup ecosystem in Africa. So we are moving straight now to the business of the day, which starts with the first panel. The first panel is going to be made up of founders who will be sharing their experiences. And to moderate that session, I have the pleasure of introducing Benedict Tekeri Muketsi. He's a serial entrepreneur and the founding member of the Global Entrepreneurship Network. He's also the advisory board member for Stanbic Bank Botswana Accelerator. Make welcome Muketsi as he drives the conversation for the first panel for today. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Phil, for that very warm introduction and welcome. Let me acknowledge Tommy Davis, who's our president, for the great work that he's doing in the continent. Let me also acknowledge Nanko from AfriLabs. It's great to see you and the team from AEDIBNET. So just to jump on straight into it, we've got a great panel of founders who are African, who are building in this sector that we're here about, which is clean tech sector. So let me start off by asking our colleague, Helena from Angola, to just quickly introduce herself, and then we'll go straight into Rotimi Thomas from Sanfai, Nigeria, and then we will go to Oki Ese from Power Stove, and then we'll go to Veronica Zolani, Veronica Chokonesa to introduce herself, and then we'll finally have Sarah Ben from What Now. Colleagues, just a brief introduction of yourselves for the audience.
Muketsi, you're muted. Could you please unmute yourself?
Hi, Helena. Can we have Helena just quickly just give a background on herself?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. This is Elena Silas speaking from.
Thank you, Helena. You want to switch on your video, if possibly all the speakers, if they could kindly switch on their video.
My internet is stable. I'm not sure if
Okay, that's fine. We seem to be having connection issues. Can we jump straight to Rotimi Thomas from Sunfi? Just a quick intro.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Rotimi Thomas. I'm the CEO for Sunfi.co in Nigeria. And we are helping to transition millions of people from petrol generators and small diesel generators, hopefully over to solar solutions over the next 5 to 10 years. And we hope many of you support us and cheer us on our way. So we'll chat more about Sunfi and what we're doing in this panel.
All right, thanks a lot, Mr. Thomas. Oki Ese from Power
Hi,
Stove.
everyone. My name is Oki Ese. I'm CEO and co-founder of Power Stove Energy. At Power Stove Energy, we are solving energy poverty as last mile. We are based in Abuja, and from here we export across Sub-Saharan Africa and Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we have Veronica?
Hello everyone, I'm Veronica Chokoneza. I'm from Angola. I'm founder and CEO from Nzolani Enable Green Energy Startup. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The last one, Sarah Ben.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah and I'm speaking from Tunisia, North Africa. And I'm here with What Now? What Now is an IoT smart energy management solution. We help companies control and optimize their energy usage and extend the lifetime of their assets. We're an all-in-one, cost-effective and inclusive solution helping companies towards net zero.
All right, thank you very much, colleagues. There you have it. Those are the great founders that you have in Africa. Just by virtue of country, they're all representing more than 5 diverse countries. We have Tunisia, we've got Nigeria, we've got Tanzania, we've got Angola. So maybe just to come back to you, Thomas, maybe just deep dive a little bit about your product, its unique value proposition in Nigeria, and what you sort of, I think, want to share with those that maybe sort of quickly now going through your website to try to understand how you guys do it and why pay later as a service for your fintech.
Okay, no problem, Benedict. Just a quick background. I actually started, my first company was called Aspire, and Tommy Davis is probably aware of that when we went through the Venture Capital for Africa process. And we were actually a solar services provider at the time, going on roofs and doing the installations ourselves. And something we realized going through the VC4A process that we went through was questioning how scalable what we were doing was in the long term. Like, were we going to actually have the impact that we were looking to have as a service provider? And so I think we looked around the country and realized that, there's lots of people that can do solar installations at a certain level, maybe not as technology enabled as we were. But we realized that the bottleneck was something that we were facing at the time was really around access to finance. If you try to work with banks, financial institutions as a solar provider in Nigeria, forget about it. You're not touching that money unless you somehow are lucky to be Haven Hill and you get the right connection or whatever the case may be. So if solar is about financing and you want to transition people away from petrol generators, but the solar providers can't get their hands on financing, then you don't have a transition that's going to take place. And so we said, well, you know what, we've financed a few hundred consumers ourselves because we were forced to do that using our own balance sheet because we couldn't get support from financial institutions. And we know how to technically manage these installations, manage installers, deal with the customers, all the wahala, as we say in Nigeria, regarding solar solutions. So we felt there was no one better positioned to build a financial technology platform that supports thousands of small solar providers with access to end consumer credit that helps them make the sale and enables the consumer to buy the solution now, but pay for it small, as we say in Nigeria. You can pay for it installmentally over 12 months, 24 months, and so on and so forth. So essentially, Sunfi is just that. It's a platform that enables solar providers to offer their consumers buy now, pay later services. And before Sunfi existed, it's very difficult for those solar providers to get that kind of solution. We're starting today with solar, but the beauty of our platform is we hope to go into many different clean tech verticals as we spread out across Africa. So who knows, perhaps one day we might be able to support OK with his power stoves. Maybe one day we're supporting electric vehicle financing or something of that nature across the platform. I think we'll help move lots of money through the systems into the right providers' hands to address clean energy or sustainability related things in Africa and hopefully beyond. So that's a bit about Sunfi. Happy to chat some more.
Awesome. That sounds like a very interesting concept. Use now and pay later, right? So maybe let's jump straight to Helena Silas from Arena Recycling Industry. I hope your connection is better now. We can just sort of hear you.
Yeah, a little better. Could not able to connect with the video because the internet is a bit challenging and it's breaking.
All right, that's fine. Do you want to share with the audience a little bit about your product, what you guys have developed, what you're currently doing, and what is your sort of secret sauce or unique value proposition?
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, as I have introduced earlier, I'm the CEO for Arena Recycling Industry, a clean tech company that recycle plastic waste into eco-friendly building material. So we have ventured a polymer sand technology that's able to convert this plastic waste into eco-brick product. Basically, what we do, we are using different strategies for the collection of this plastic waste. And first, we target the key waste pickers from the environment that collect the plastic and bring to our company, the plant that we produce those eco bricks. And also we pay them, per kilogram. And the other strategy that we are using, also we are collecting this plastic from the source. You see, we want to prevent this plastic to break or to leak to the environment. So we target restaurants, hotels, and also shops that have a huge amount of this plastic product. And also we collecting this plastic waste from the beach, since a lot of people in the holidays or in the weekends, they are going on the beach to have fun. So we get a lot of plastic from the beach. And also, why are we doing that is that because the plastic waste, according to the statistic, it's say more than 80 million tons of plastic waste are leaked to the to the ocean every year, and it has a negative impact to our ocean and also to climate change. And also, after collection of these plastic wastes, we bring it back to our plants and we sort according to their nature and to their density. You know, plastic has different properties and different kind of plastic like HDRP, PVC, and other stuffs. So we sort them and then we mix with some waste, including the sawdust from other industry, the concrete, and also we mix with sand. We produce the eco brick. Yeah, the eco brick used for the construction, as I said, as the construction of houses and other building. But so far, we have been able to build toilets to primary schools, different primary schools here in Dar es Salaam, but also we have already sold this pavement to individual customers. And we are looking forward to have more impact to being able to recycle at least 50 tons of plastic per month and to produce more than 2 2,000 to 5,000 eco bricks per month, so that we can reach more customers and we can have more projects. Yeah, that is what we do.
Okay, awesome. I think everybody in the audience is very curious. You don't have to answer this now, but I think everybody might be curious as to how you deal with the mentality around people's just normality of normal breaks, and safe issues of regulation and safety around that. But we can deep dive on that a bit later on. So let me just jump straight into okay, power stove. We've had a lot of our power stove. Ike, maybe you want to take us more detailed about what's so unique about power stove?
All right, thank you, everyone. Like I said, my name is Okay. Power stove was started as an idea in 2017. The purpose was to change the way we do our cooking. I've lived through my life in the village, and I saw that cooking has never been a fun thing. The thick smokes and the problems of gathering firewood, and it's always a woman problem, because traditionally women, are saddled with the responsibility to cook. So what we did was to improve the burn efficiency and introduce a lot of features to it. For example, we made it easier for people to be able to cook with a stove and also charge their mobile phones, power banks, and also have electricity in their homes. Before we ventured into that, there was nothing like that in Africa. And we were able to improve on that and also bring down the cost of acquisition, which is also a challenge, because most households want to make the switch to clean energy, but the initial cost of acquisition is always the barrier. So what we did, like what Thomas is doing, is to be able to find a common ground where usability comes first in mind, and we'll be able to find a way to extend our recovery rates, in terms of the investment we've made. Another good thing we've done with Power Stove is that we were able to be the first stove company to integrate IoT system. People keep saying, what is IoT doing in the stove? But we know that there's a lot of data that we can be able to harness from cooking with the stove, and that data we can be able to monetize it for mutual benefit of the company and also the users. We also became the first company to distribute stoves for free and also pay users for cooking. It's a business model that has never been heard of. And we christened it the Robin Hood business model. So what we are doing is, we are meeting large carbon footprint companies and convincing them they need to be able to buy our carbon credits so that we can keep these women cooking. Africa alone contributes almost 6% of global carbon emissions. And this comes from clean cook stoves. So if we can be able to do one stove at a time, one community at a time, we can be able to solve this. Another thing also we are doing is 99% of our stoves uses wood pellets and bio pellets. These are waste that we've been able to give a second life. So we recycled it in our factory. Currently, we have the largest wood pellet factory in West and Central Africa. So what we are doing is we engage women as our last mile suppliers. Then we also integrate micro health insurance into it. So they supply this waste to us. So they have a micro health insurance of $500 per month cover. Then we use the waste to produce the pellets at 80% cheaper than charcoal, firewood, or kerosene. And they'll be able to buy this and save $300 annually. So in all the ecosystem of Power Stove, we put the poor and low-income household at the front burner to be sure that they benefit while they use our stove.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Okay, very, very, very interesting. Thank you for that. Veronica, maybe let's just jump straight into you. Zolani Renewables, how are you guys doing it differently and uniquely?
Okay, who we are? First, in Africa with Zolani Renewables. We are a startup driven by the challenge of providing oxygen, hydrogen, and green ammonia to society that ensures prosperity and ethical, safe, and competitive manner. Nzalani operates essentially in the green industry, using renewable energy sources such as solar, biomass, hydro, and wind energy. Our mission is to build the first hydrogen ammonia production plant in Angola, build biomass processing and briquette production center, build a research and development center for renewable energy technology. We conduct our activity in accordance with the 10 principles of the Global Pact of the Organization of the United Nations. Angola was part of the Paris Agreement Global Pact to combat climate change. It's our responsibility to enforce and be part of the same pact to ensure that the temperature rise on our planet does not exceed 2 degrees Celsius. Maintaining a clean Africa is to ensure the reduction of carbon emissions. The capture, storage, and the raise carbon dioxide are vital of the fight of climate change. We have 2 technologies to capture and carbon storage. And together with the energy efficiency and the renewable technology, we form adequate energy mix to continue the fight against climate change and make African clean. We believe with our precision and focus that we have managed to advance with the same technology and make Angola green in sequence to our mother Africa. Startup products and the unique position for Nzalani, the initial product is essentially based on green hydrogen. This product is totally new in Angola, and there is no company producing it. Hydrogen has very high intrinsic value because it meets global concerns about environment. Furthermore, in current global geopolitical situation, the demand for green hydrogen has been more pronounced, especially in the most developed countries, in Europe and North America. Pricing and the startup approach to raising capital pricing has been carried out both locally and with international investment institutions with emphasis on several European institutions. Is taken its first step as a most of the selling field do not include energy startups, particularly renewable energy. It's very important to say in Angola we don't have a hydrogen plant, and we want to make this better for our country and our continent. When we do that, we know we want to grow our economy and to put our place better, our climate better. First, I'm a woman, and in this sector, it's very hard to encourage other people to enjoy with us, like a partnership. But I know with focus and determination, we can do that, and we can make the Africa better and our climate better. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for that detailed presentation of what you guys are doing. Very impressive to see a female entrepreneur out of Angola doing that. Maybe let's just jump straight into it just to manage our time better. So Sarah, you are with What Now? I think for you, the interest is what this product in Deep Dive is, and then particularly your fundraising journey. I mean, we're just gonna jump now straight into the most important part is who's actually financing these type of companies and how has been your journey? And then we can just maybe ask Rotimi and OK to comment on that fundraise point. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question. So, bit overview about what we do. So, we're an energy management solution. But what's particular about us? It's not a new invention, but we've seen that industries, not only particulars, but industries, big clients actually require a plug and play solution. They don't want to spend 4 months in deployment. We figure out that customers would like a friendly UX, because here, with more and more with COP26, here we're talking climate panels. Let's get a bit about the trends there over there. So there is a lot of pressure from the European Union. There is the ESG reporting component, and there are all types of ESG reporting. They keep on pushing multinationals on reporting and monitoring energy. So here we have a trend. There is more about political pressure. As a managing program director of Afri Labs mentioned, indeed the policymakers are pushing a lot. So here, when it comes to practicalities, the persons in charge require easy UX. They also require a solution that enables them to have a more smooth upselling. They require also a more cost-friendly solution, but also they require a whole centralized system, because sometimes in industrials they might have meters or devices that can measure electricity but not gas. They might have gas but not electricity. So here's what we do different. So we decided that we're going to be the one-stop solution for those who want to go from zero to hero when it comes to energy management. So what we provide is a whole solution from our IoT devices, where they're, as I said, plug and play, can like equip a whole factory in about a week or in about a day or two, actually, to the part of the software, where they can actually, centralize all type of energy resources. We have gas, electricity, water, temperature, wherever that you want in one single place. But we also understand that within emerging markets, there are not necessarily somebody who is fully dedicated for the job. It can be somebody who is usually multitasking. So here we give them, thanks to our AI, a quick alert, a smart alert that tells you, go ahead, there is something wrong. And here where our customer found the second value proposition is that thanks to those actionable alerts, now they can exercise about preventive maintenance. They know that there is something wrong within their equipment, so they go ahead and fix it, instead having of, I don't know, have a multiple of 20 to replace the whole equipment. And this is very valuable in terms of ROI for industrials. So we provide that, and then all the way to the reporting component. We have clients that report every single month thanks to What Now reports. We've done amazing job with that. Now we're partnering with our clients are automotive industries, aeronautic industries. We have telcos, the 3 telcos of the company, they are clients. We have Carrefour, we have textile, we have commercial buildings, we have all types of industrials. And now we can say, and we are confident that nowadays, in order to help emerging markets industrials moving forward, the idea is to provide a one-stop shop, cost-effective, but also to give the clients what they need, exactly what they need, with very actionable data and clear forecast and accurate AI forecast. This is more or less of what we do. This month, we're celebrating actually, we're opening up in a new market. We're opening up in Morocco. And that's also thanks to a client that is already here in Tunisia. We're very great at upselling. We go to up to 14 times in terms of upselling. And that's what got us clients upselling, not only in Tunisia through their different sites, but also now moving with them to other locations. This is a bit about us and what we do. A very interesting question is fundraising. And especially in the climate tech, probably here about a bit of North Africa, which is pretty much a bit less active, I would say, than Nigeria and the rest. We secured so far $1.8 million in funding. We have funding coming from the Norwegian Climate Fund, Catapult Climate Fund. We secured it from actually from Japan, from Capo Fund. We have Launch Africa with us. We have Oman Technology Fund. We have Flat 6 Labs as well, which is an active fund all around the MENA region, alongside with a whole list of business angels who are pretty much a diaspora. This is an overview. We just secured our pre-Series A list this March 2022, and we're gladly moving towards our Series A, hopefully by the beginning of next year. Jumping more into the question of the fundraising here, so we can see here, as I said, there is the trend of business angels. Now, more and more B2B agents, diaspora, all within local markets, acknowledge the importance of climate tech, acknowledge the enormous pressure, thus that climate tech or climate tech products as of today, they are no longer a vitamin. Here we're talking about real pain points. We're talking about real pain points that climate tech startups are trying to solve. So as you said at the beginning of the introductory statement, it's a demand that shifted from being just a vitamin, that just a good to have, to more of a necessity. So you find business angels active within the sector. You find also an interest, because now we're moving towards our Series A. We find there is a lot of B2B interest. There is a lot of CVCs. There is a lot of family offices. They're really actively looking for good pipeline. Nevertheless, they start putting money at a Series A stage, and that's what we're targeting as of today. And there is also the seed fund. They're climate oriented, which was the case with Catapult. And there are also the sector agnostic, and we know that sector agnostic follow trends, and we're happily saying that just like fintech was a trend, I think climate tech is going to be the next buzz or the next focus of sector agnostic investors, whether when it comes to Africa or worldwide. So this is how the trends, we've seen them. So yeah, I hope that helped.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I think before we conclude, it'll be great for you to tell everybody where you're sourcing the talent that's going to help you grow your company, or how you guys currently doing it. Just reserve that for now. Maybe you can give it as part of your last conclusion. Maybe Rotimi and Oki, you guys can one of you can just jump in on the fundraise issue, how you guys are fundraising and what's been your journey so far. Probably if there's any needs. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick. Yeah, on the fundraise journey, as said previously, we found it harder to raise as a service provider, Benedict, in the space. I think realized very late in the game, venture capitalists don't tend to be very hardware friendly when it comes to funding entities. OK's probably got something that's really exceptional. So I tend to think that if you're going to do hardware, especially in clean tech, and then you're doing it in Africa, you have to be on an Elon Musk kind of wavelength. And so probably OK is probably on that wavelength. You have to be very exceptional, But I think for us, the space that we are operating in is transitioning people from generators to solar systems. I mean, we had all the hardware and the technology and the right partnerships and all that kind of stuff. But I think in just looking at how to scale that, it actually just ended up being that the most sensible thing to do was to build financial technology to support other businesses to support their consumers, right? And so now with that, you think about power to X, right? Veronica was talking about hydrogen, right? So Europe is abuzz with taking one form of energy and converting it into many different types of energy. Our investment, the way that investors are looking at us today now is, if we invest in this one platform, we can support, tens of thousands of young men and women building solar businesses to serve people in their local areas. Like one investment kind of to end them all in the context of trying to transition millions or billions of dollars into the hands of solarpreneurs, if you will, right? And so that's what we aim to be. Now, with regards to fundraising for that, one of the proof points that we have to work through, probably especially post Series A, is getting the support of local financial institutions. There's probably someone called Sergey Natamak that might need to mute there just to avoid feedback. But working with financial institutions is very crucial for us, because in whichever market we go into, their support is crucial. We take their capital, debt capital, and we manage that capital and tell them that, hey, we know the right providers to transition this capital into, because we've been a provider. We know their processes, we know how to manage them. So debt capital is crucial for us. We're working with a local bank that should support us with ₦1 billion naira, hopefully this year or sometimes towards the end of it. That will help us run very fast leading up to Series A. That same financial institution is also looking to invest $1 million in the business as part of our seed round. And we're also working with an energy technology company that operates across Africa and different parts of the world. That's investing about 400,000 to 500,000 plus some angel funding to round out our round of $1.6 million for seed. And so it's a mix of debt capital on the working capital side of things, because that's obviously the lifeblood of what we're doing, and that's how we make revenue, is charging fees on that money. But in terms of running operations, building the business, sourcing the talent that builds all the financial technology and operates the business, it's a mix of institutional capital and angel capital that is supporting us to this point. Convertible notes have also been selectively useful. We don't promote that all the time, but where you need that capital, we've been blessed to get non-interest-based convertible notes with a discount that if it converts from the convertible loan, it converts into equity or SAFE or something of that nature at a discount. And I'll say that we've been very deliberate about using the SAFE concept. So instead of issuing equity rights away, we've been using SAFEs. I'm not saying that every African investor is either used to that or comfortable with it. I think that will change over time, but we've been using that. And I think the announcement will come out soon, but we were also accepted into an accelerator that's focused on impact and climate related technologies. So I think that's the mix that we've been using. I'm interested to hear about what other people have been using. It was good to hear from Sarah on the types of sources that she found useful.
Okay. All right, great stuff. Okay, they say you got it easy. Do you want to comment on that?
Not easy, not easy. It's probably very good is what I said.
Thank you so much. What happened for us as Power Stove is that before Power Stove, I was into financial consulting. I was helping people to raise funds. So that helped me to understand how to be able to pilot the financial needs of Power Stove. But one thing that is sure is there is a reason why there is the word hard in hardware. Is really tough doing hardware. And if you are doing hardware as a business in Africa, then it's going to be harder. In Nigeria, for example, in my factory, we are top 2 cook stove manufacturer in Nigeria. We have our transformer, 200 kVA. We bought it. We have our water. We drilled borehole. We have 3 generators. Minimum is 100 kVA. So we provide all the infrastructure that we need to run our system. So because I know that hardware is much demanding in CapEx. So what we're doing is we are using grant funding to pursue our CapEx. Then for our OpEx, we are using debt to finance our OpEx. So in that way, we can be able to honor the payment terms of the debt and be able to expand aggressively on our CapEx. So that's how we moved from 250 kg per hour producing pellet to 2.5 tons per hour. That's a 10x within 12 months, because I was able to harness the benefit of using grant funding, business plan competitions to be able to gather up to $1 million and plow it back into our assets expansion. Then once you've done that, then you keep track of data, because investors, why they look out for fintech, because you can easily get data, by a click of a mouse. But in hardware, it's always difficult for them to be in Silicon Valley or to be in Paris to be able to know, okay, this is how many raw materials you've moved, and this is how many users that you have. So because I know this is a gap, so what we did was we created an avenue for them to be able to see our data, even though we're hardware. So we brought a lot of software technology into it, allowing investors to be able to look into our books and see how we move from sourcing to delivery. And that helped us to be able to have a lot of investors knocking. Now we are being selective because we have a high benchmark for the kind of VCs we take their fund.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Looks like we're failed on time. Let me just ask the two colleagues, Helena and Veronica, to sort of, I think, summarize for us in terms of the commercial offtakes that they may be expecting to hear from the audience or those that are actually listening, and then ask everybody to just give their 1 minute takeaway or ask. Thanks a lot. I don't know if Veronica and Helena, are you still connected, or we lost you?
Yes, I'm here. I wait for Helena first.
Okay,
But okay. The commercial capability and next step for startup commercial capacity has had and are based on hydrogen. Demand for oil companies, on the other hand, the use of hydrogen for electrical mobility and its application in telecommunication hubs have the possibility for enormous expansion in the view of the current use of the diesel systems, which will soon need to build hubs at several national airports to face market change and European environmental requirements. We believe the market will be able to absorb the largest share of green hydrogen production. And I want to say anything more. We know we have so many problems for finance. We know we have so many problems to make our project to work we have I think we have a problem because we are young first, and second because in Africa have so many projects, but I think that the people don't believe this project. I think that if the people believe this project, if the people go to finance, but I think first in Africa they need to see other continents. If Europe do that, Africa do that too. But some important now is to share our knowledge and put this working. I think we are young, but we are funded. We have a project. We want to make this happen. First, if you don't have a finance, we can working together. It doesn't matter if it's Tunisia, it's Nigeria, it's Angola. If we work together, I think with our strength, with our capability, we can do that. At first, we need to technology. Okay, we need to know out. Okay. If Watson Thomas have a technology and I have a know-how, we can change this knowledge. It's other. Some important here is to work together and find the finance. Of course, we do that. But if we work together, we put our project in And of course, I think we can do that. We can make the Africa clean, and the people got to believe in our project and finance that. I think the first step, we are here, and thank you for this. Yes, first step, we are here, and it's our first step.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Veronica. I have to cut you off because of time, just to give everybody 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you calling for a collaborative approach to how the ecosystem is built. Let me just ask the colleagues that are left to just give each 30 seconds, and then we should be out of the session. Then if there are any questions, I'll hand over back to Phil. Thanks. So Rotimi, maybe let's jump to you as quick as possible in terms of your commercial ask or any collaborative partnerships that you need.
Hey, we're closing our seed round, so hopefully that's taken care of, but I'd like to be in touch with some of the people that have mentioned we should reach out. So I'll reach out to Savant Capital and a few of the others in the chat. But it would be great to also connect with some of the other entrepreneurs here as well. Sarah, Veronica, etc. Stay in touch, and as Veronica said, we all build together. And once again, we'd just like to give a shout out to Tommy Davis, Mr. Tommy Davis, and the rest of the team here. I've seen him at many events, and I'm very encouraged by what's taking place with this movement. So just keep going in the right direction.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for that, Rotimi. Sarah, maybe we jump to you.
Thank you, everybody. So happy to collaborate. So we would love to collaborate with either the ones that you guys provide the energy alternative. Would be happy to collaborate together on the monitoring side. We're raising soon, so we'd love to keep our investors early in the loop. So feel free to reach out. We also want to have like more of an impact. So we're happy to just bridge gaps, because probably I come from the North African side. So happy to give insights, needed introductions to whoever who is interested in exploring the North African market, talking about Tunisia, Morocco, why not Egypt? So feel free. We're here to help one another. So yeah, thank you so much.
All right, awesome, excellent, excellent. Oki essay, Power Stove. Is Oki still connected with us? I think maybe we've lost him. Helena?
Yes, I'm connected.
Your last 2 words?
Yeah, we are looking forward to collaborate, and also we are looking for mentors, since we want to be invested lady. I think we are also looking for opportunity that have this program, maybe investment readiness program, and also we are looking for investors that can able to invest on our business, since we are about to expand all over Tanzania, and we want to increase our production capacity so that we can able to reach more customers, and to be able to close the deal of constructions, so that we can compete with these big construction companies and these concrete brick. So I hope this initiative we can take to the highest mountain, so that we can able to save the environment and also building a sustainable city. Thank you.
All right, awesome. That was a great close. Let me just thank everybody from the panel, all the founders, for your insights and your contributions. We sincerely thank you for making time this evening, this afternoon, this morning, wherever you are. Let me now at this juncture hand over back to the AEDIBNET team to continue with the program. Thank you very much, and also thanks to the audience.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Muketsi, for that powerful session. Thank you also all the founders who are doing great stuff all across Africa. Thank you for sharing your story, we are moving on straight. Okay, so before we move on, to the audience, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. We'll find some way of getting the founders respond to them, and we'll communicate the answers back to you, because we're all out of time and we can't take the Q&A right now. So please put your questions on the chat and we will get back to you. All right, so moving on now, we're going to be hearing from the founders and supporting institutions. And to drive that conversation, I have the pleasure to welcome Fadila Jumba, an entrepreneur, an angel investor, and Secretary General at AEDIBNET. Fadila, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much, Phil, for this great introduction, and thank you for the previous panel for sharing your experience with us. I would like to ask the panel to please put on the camera so that we can start our session. This session is a mix of intervention from investors, angel investors, VC, policy drivers and policy makers, and capacity builder within the Cleantech ecosystem. And it's my great pleasure to welcome Khaleb Ismail from Him Angel from Egypt. He's almost known as the godfather of the startup ecosystem in the northern part of Africa. And it's also a great pleasure to welcome Uche, who is the co-founder, one of the co-founder of the South-Southeast Angel Network in Port Harcourt, based in Port Harcourt, very active in Nigeria. And I would also like to welcome Thierry Watrim from the Rwanda Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, focusing particularly on policy related to energy and clean energy. And lastly, but not least, I would like to welcome Ifoma Malo from the Cleantech Hub. And of course, all of these panelists have great experience in, number one, investing, number two, building capacity, and driving policies. And please, I would like to start with Khaleb. And I would like to find out from Khaleb how the appetite for investment has been happening from his own experience. And we have noted that Khaleb, through Him Angel, have invested in a solution that are focusing on clean tech. And I would like Khaleb to first please start this panel session by telling us a little bit about some of the challenges and the opportunities that they have seen in this sector.
Thanks a lot, Fadila. Thanks a lot, everybody. Pleasure to be among you here today. Yeah, I think clean tech is a very interesting topic. We as an angel investing fund have embarked on investing in clean tech already like 6-7 years ago, before actually it became very popular. But we could see the opportunity in at least in certain directions. We did not know the challenges yet back then. And over the years, we've learned some of the key challenges in dealing with some of the issues in clean tech and so on. So I just want to also maybe discuss briefly what is meant by green tech or clean tech and so on. I think there is a very general view that anything where you can save carbon emission, anything where you can save pollution, anything where you can save waste or recycle waste, anything that reduces energy consumption, all of these at the end of the day result in a cleaner environment. And if you're using technology to do that, then you are in the right place as a clean tech company. So it's a very broad view of what you can possibly do. And we as people living in the African continent suffer from a lot of that. I mean, we have a lot of waste, we have a lot of water pollution, we have a lot of, carbon emission, particularly in the crowded cities. We have all of that, and we are certainly, as governments, not doing enough, because it's a very big and serious problem, and nobody has the ability to tackle. So whenever we could find a startup company that has the courage and the technology to do something about it, we were very happy. And it started actually almost 10 years ago or 9 years ago with our first investment in Recyclobicia, which was one of the very leading first companies to do electronic waste recycling. Now, we all know the problem that, electronic is recycled in certain ways in the Western Hemisphere. But if you look at what is done with electronics in general, of course, in the African continent, of course, it gets first recycled by, trying to fix it and giving it to the poorer people to use it, your mobile phone, your screen, whatever. That is a kind of recycling. But at the end of the day, at some point in time, it completely fails and you have to throw it away. And believe it or not, this is what is literally being done with electronic waste, which is it's thrown away in the garbage in most of the cases. Even batteries, even serious contaminants are being thrown in the garbage. So it's very hazardous, but at the same time, that company discovered that you can extract from all the electronic waste residual minerals, gold, silver, copper, heavy metals, molybdenum, tungsten, etc., 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 all very valuable. And at the same time, in a safe way that does not contaminate the environment. If you burn, because when it goes to the waste and it gets burned, you're actually burning heavy metals like molybdenum and tungsten, which is very well known and documented to be cancerogenic. So the issue here, I'm giving it as an example because it's a good one. First of all, nobody is putting a value next to the unclean conditions that the environment is in. Basically, if you're saying what happens if you burn molybdenum, okay, some of the population will get cancer. That cost is so and so that high. Some people will get breathing problems. That cost is such a cost, and so on and so forth. There is not a very quantitative measure as to how much it costs governments and states if they don't adopt a clean technology. And hence, when we ask governments to support, quite often it's seen as, oh, give us some subsidy, or we're a startup, it needs to be subsidized. What I'm arguing here is governments should calculate exactly the cost of the unclean environment that would have happened and compensate the startups or any company for that matter, not by subsidy, but basically by the savings that the government is doing, compensate them for what they are doing. That's the first step that doesn't exist, unfortunately. And in fact, sometimes governments are actually against, or not against, but are not making it easy for startups to work in this field of clean energy. So that was the first problem. The second and very serious problem is we've seen it across the board in 5 or 6 clean energy companies who are recycling or upcycling or whatever, is the cash flow problem. The technology is good. You have some product that you can recycle or upcycle and you can make a margin. However, the process itself of collection, the process of turning it into something useful and then selling it and then collecting your money is a long process in many of these cases. Sometimes it takes several months, sometimes up to 6 to 9 months until you are collecting your money. And that cycle results in negative cash flow, which is very, very difficult for a startup to manage while they are trying to grow. Basically, every time you grow, every time you scale, you actually need more money. And if you let that be financed by equity, you wind up, as you grow, losing your company. So the challenge here is how to finance working capital in companies that are doing clean energy. And another very simple example is solar energy. Solar energy today is not a technological challenge, it's a financial challenge. How much you can finance it with, what's the interest rate versus what's the return rate. And if one is better than the other, you have a project. If not, you don't have a project. So it all boils down to finding the proper financial vehicles that can help startups in clean energy and clean tech. So those two things we learned the hard way, which is, how to create the right financial vehicles for startups, and also how to lobby with governments and so on to be on your side. If the better version is to compensate for the upside that you're creating, if not, at least not be a hurdle. And all of that is something that we've done better and better over time with other startups that we've invested in recycling agricultural waste. We have one that recycles shrimp skin. And it's not just the recycling, but whatever you're producing, in that case, compost or growth enhancer and so on, is actually resulting again in a clean environment, because you're producing clean fertilizers, you're producing higher productivity of the same area, which means less usage of water, which is another way to keep the environment clean by reducing water consumption and so on. So it's a full cycle of companies. We've invested in a company that takes used cooking oil, recycles it into biodiesel. So first of all, it reduced the amount of waste and water sewage problems because of the oil being thrown in down the drain. But also, when you generate biodiesel, the CO2 emission was 85% less than fossil fuels, and so it goes. So I don't want to take too much time, but basically our experience is very positive. We've had the guts to get into it, where other VCs and other investors typically shy away from doing such investments. But we think it's paying off, and we're very happy with what we've done so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Caleb, for sharing those details. And I would like to first to move on immediately with Uche, who is managing right now an angel network in Nigeria, Port Harcourt. And these are very much small size tickets that you have decided to invest in these ventures that are emerging within the clean tech sector. And as you have heard Caleb earlier, and as the moment you go in, you have to keep on putting money in order to allow the company to actually survive. And I want to know from your perspective, Uche, what are the main drivers? Why have you decided to take that step in supporting ventures that are emerging within the clean tech sector?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fadila. First, I'd like to start by thanking the team at AEDIBNET for putting this together and for having us, come talk about this. I live in Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt is the hydrocarbon. It's the headquarters of the hydrocarbon industry. The narrative is the fact that not only are we not getting the so-called benefit of the oil and gas industry, we are also taking note of the negatives of of the byproduct of oil and gas exploration, from environmental pollution to the effect of oil spillage on the farms, the effect of and then to top that, we still don't get enough energy to power the homes, right? So I think it's a no-brainer that sooner or later we have to begin to look for alternative ways of getting things done, especially taking care of our energy needs for a start. You also have throw into the mix institution where you have the unemployment rate ballooning off the roof in the region and the place that is supposedly supposed to be producing the so-called national wealth. So to answer your question directly, we're doing this because number one, there's an opportunity to create wealth. There's an opportunity to create wealth. Not just the opportunity to create wealth, but opportunity to create better environment, an opportunity to live in a better environment, and the opportunity to save our lives by virtue of improving the health of our people. And so it just doesn't it just doesn't make sense to do otherwise. So we needed to be able to mobilize and support especially young people who are beginning to understand that they can build high skill ventures while solving these societal problems and create value, create wealth in the process. And so, yeah, those are some of the the factors that are driving our involvement, not just in the clean tech, but across most of the investment that we've done, that we're doing with the South-Southeast Asia network.
Thank you very much, Uche. And I would immediately move on to hear from Thierry. Thierry, I've heard very well from Caleb earlier on that, I mean, the stakeholders, especially the policymakers and policy drivers are very important in making sure that we are able to build this new sector. Well, it's not fairly new, but this sector that is clearly important for both the environment, but also the various markets that we have on the continent. I would like to know from your perspective, Thierry, what are those policies that are coming up in order to support the growth of this sector on the continent? Hello, Thierry, can you hear us? Yes, Thierry might have some issue with his microphone or connection. We're going to move on with hearing from Ifoma. And Ifoma, thanks again for joining us this evening. Ifoma, you have a very interesting background. I mean, very solid background. You have actually actively worked in the policy making space. You have worked with building the capacity of ventures that are part of that space as well. And you're also helping those ventures attract financing. I would like to hear from your perspective, from a Cleantech Hub. Capacity building is very important because we're also thinking about how do we build a pool of talent that will be able to support the growth of this sector. Ifoma, can you come on board now and discuss a little bit about what you do at Cleantech Hub and also how the work that is being done is supporting the ecosystem?
Okay, thank you for having me. So Cleantech Hub, what we do is 5 things. We provide to support the industry, the clean tech industry in Nigeria, but also West Africa, because we work across 6 West African countries. We also do a lot of work around training and advocacy. We run an enterprise development program that has an incubator program, accelerator. We also run a livelihoods program where we run a street business school, teaching low-income communities how to use clean technologies to start up micro businesses. So these are some of the things that we do at Cleantech Hub. And to go into your question, I mean, on the policy end, you know, I think when we talk about clean tech policy, I think because of a lot of the work that went into building the Sustainable Development Goals, and especially Goal 7 and Goal 13 that talk about clean energy and climate change, a lot of the policies and regulations across a lot of West African countries are more or less set. You know, at least in Nigeria, we have one of the most robust mini-grid companies. We have a climate change act, and we have a renewable energy law, you know, and another electricity law that's now going through the process. So when it comes to the policy aspect, a lot of it is settled. What we struggle with across sub-Saharan Africa really is the implementation. And we don't, in some of the policies that we have, you know, there is not one anchoring agency that is put in place to sort of be the charge for how the implementation is then driven. Partly, the reason for that partly is because, you know, politics in Africa is still very fluid. You see government agencies sometimes being expanded and then later on being collapsed. And as a result, it's difficult to put in one single agency in a document when you don't know if that agency is going to continue to exist in another 5 years or 10 years, depending on who's in power. So these are some of the problems that we then have, because then there's nobody that is leading the charge. What then happens is that the private sector then steps in. So you see a lot of the private sector and maybe some of the international NGOs do step in. You see a lot of coordination at that level, trying to help drive the issues around policy to a place where it can create investor confidence and where it can also create investor attractiveness. And this then dovetails into how a country or a sector in a country attracts funding. I think it was Veronica who in the earlier panel had talked about the difficulties that she faced in terms of raising money. That is not different across the board, especially in clean tech enterprise that you talk to. You know, the enabling environment is one of the critical factors that an investor would look at. But even at that, when it comes to the clean tech sector, a lot of investors, whether foreign or domestic, see the promise. I'll give you an example with the Nigerian situation. You have huge swath of the population still living without the electricity grid. And even for those of us who have grid connection, we're still very underserved. You get at least 4 hours of electricity a day, and it continues to get worse. So what then happens is that you have a solar energy, a solar ecosystem or a solar industry that is poised to take over a huge chunk of providing alternative energy. So people are using their generators in Nigeria, but what then happens is that there is no diesel at all to power them. So yeah, I see you laughing, but that's our problems are very complex in Nigeria. So, you know, it's what it is. And so people are then, you know, deciding to go for solar. So we can't even meet demand, right? And the reason why we can't meet demand is because the solar entrepreneurs in Nigeria don't have enough money to bring in these goods from outside the country. They don't have a lot of capital to import the goods. It's still, you know, the clean energy or clean tech space is still a very imported industry when it comes to Africa. And so we then have people who are then trying to raise money to build assembly plants or manufacturing plants for these products in Nigeria. So when the other speaker, I think it was, I can't remember his name, okay, or something, talked about hardware being very difficult. This is where the difficulties lie across the value chain, that we need to build an industry around clean tech that is focused on local production and manufacturing. But then we can't find the financing to do that. So what then we begin to do is to have financing that is focused on just, importation and then service delivery. And there is no way you're going to build a robust clean tech economy or ecosystem doing all that. So just to round up very quickly, so what we've seen in terms of financing is there's a lot of impact funding coming into the country for clean tech business. There's a lot of blended finance also coming into the sector. We see a lot of convertible notes as a form of financing. And I'll talk about the impact capital, because what we've seen is that there are people who have money and want to invest and have that patient capital to invest, because this is really a patient capital intensive sector.
Right.
And then decide that they're going to look for the right people to invest in it. And that's where you are seeing a lot of incubators and accelerators coming, because you have to get those people impact ready and investment ready. And that's what we do at Cleantech Hub, where we run a 6-month incubator program and then a 3-month accelerator program, where after with the incubator program, we have people who give them seed funding. Sometimes it's as little as $10,000. And with our accelerator programs, we have people who have been able to get up to about 500,000 USD or to 650,000 USD. But a lot of that are around, are focused on it. But the number of people that are getting this funding are so small that we need to think about how we can get them to a credible number to make sure that we're impacting the amount of communities that we need to impact using this clean tech enterprises. I'd love to say more, but I'm conscious of time, so I would pause there. And if there are questions, I'm happy to answer as time goes on. And yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's go back to Terry now. Terry, were you able to connect with us?
Yes, absolutely. I'm sorry, my laptop crashed, actually.
We're happy to have you.
But now it's back.
And we'll
yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Fadila, and thank you, Ifeoma, for sharing your views on this topic. It's quite interesting. So to begin with, I'll just share what has been done in Rwanda recently in terms of policies. So it's been since 2008 that Rwanda has been working on the fight against climate change. First, there was the program to fight poverty and to encourage the poverty reduction with the strategy. The goal was first to make a climate resilient economy. And for this, a program was developed, and the goal was to make sure that in sustainable development, in energies, we would follow what we would call in the future a green taxonomy, to make sure that what we call green is actually green. In a second time, there was a ban on the plastic bags. I remember, I think it's okay, who talked about the plastic in the previous panel. So it's been more than 10 years that Rwanda has been banning plastic bags. And if you come to Kigali, you'll hear in the plane people indicating that you can't have that kind of bags and it's going to be thrown away. And lately we voted and put it and moved forward with the law to ban single-use plastic. In terms of policies, because that's the question, and I believe I'm the last to talk, so I'll try to be quite fast because I believe everybody wants to move to the Q&A. The policies that we've done, I'll just speak about the major one, maybe the excise duty, import and VAT removal for electric vehicles. So it means that in Rwanda, if you import an electric vehicle, be an individual or a company, you would not pay any tax on the vehicle, on the battery storage, and on the exchange for electricity. So that's a very big incentive that we've done. We wanted to boost our e-mobility with a such incentive, and which was quite recent. It was in 2019 and implemented last year. But yeah, when we're talking about incentive, we're talking about that. Yeah, so long story short, Wanda and the Ministry of Economy and Finance is pushing to move to the next level its green economy. And we're moving with the incentives such as VAT removal for electric vehicles, and as well we're looking in the future for potential carbon taxation, subsidies on the green sectors and the clean tech. That is a very important sector for us. It could make the price of electricity goes down with the smart electricity storage, with electrolyzers, with the renewable energy, with pump storage. And it's something that we're looking at in a very closely manner. And I believe that the European Union is starting a fund as well for clean tech. So I believe that within the next few years, policymakers will be making a move. Thank you, Fadila.
Thank you very much, Terry, for sharing this news from Rwanda and how the government is working to support the growth of the clean tech sector. So if I have to summarize what we have discussed today, what our panelists actually discussed or highlighted for the past 20 minutes, I would like to put it this way in 3 different points or 4. Number 1, we must be able to create viable investment, viable deals that are attractive for investors. Investment risk is high, and most clean tech projects or ventures are still very small. The capex is extremely high. And finally, a new model of investment must be defined and devised in order to cater for the clean tech sector. And I would like to call on Caleb to give his last words when it comes to clean tech sector on the continent and what he sees coming, for the future.
One thing that I think the continent should focus on is really helping successful companies, go from one country to the other, because what we have seen is that the problems are very similar. I mean, what we heard in Nigeria, we found in Zambia and we found in Tanzania regarding the diesel generators, regarding the lack of energy grid, regarding what we see in Egypt in terms of agricultural waste is what we have also witnessed in Tanzania and in Zambia and so on. So wherever we go, we find very, very, very similar problems. And hence, whenever there is a company that successfully solves one of these issues in an efficient way, we as investors and the whole continent should support them to take that solution to as many countries in the continent as possible, because it's a homegrown solution. It really is something that is applicable to many countries in the continent. So that's one direction I would love to see increasingly happen, and investors should encourage that. So you as an investor, or we as investors, have always the choice of either investing in a new and an unknown venture, or in helping one of our ventures grow either geographically or in products and so on. Sometimes, as I just said, it may actually be wise to reinvest in companies that have made it in Tunisia to go into Morocco, rather than find another new company in Tunisia that you don't know much about. So that's my 10 cents worth of where I see, this sector going. And without really consolidated effort, I know there are egos. I know every startup wants to conquer the world and so on, but without really hand-holding across the continent and trying to grow the market for all of these startups, they will always stay small in a very limited geography. And by using the breadth and width and opportunities in a complete continent like the African one, I think we're allowing many success stories to be written in the next few years, I hope. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Caleb. Back to you, Uche, with your last remark.
Yeah, so I think that the space is blowing up, like we would say. There are quite a number of interesting projects that are coming on. The regulatory space, would need to evolve. But generally, like I keep saying to people, we will not wait for regulators. It's possible we'll make the regulators play catch up. Yeah, I've seen interesting things happen in the space. For instance, in October 2019, for instance, the GB guys was able to power the Wuse market by going into an MOU with the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, and they were able to provide power to that market off-grid. One of our companies, Greenwich Technologies, for instance, is now at the forefront of powering other startups that are building, clean technology solutions with the goal of deploying them across Nigeria and Africa eventually to solve most of these problems. From an investor perspective, there are quite some hurdles to clear, but they are not hurdles that are insurmountable. There is still a bit of a gap in terms of capacity, but all of those are not insurmountable challenges. But I think in all, the future of green technology is bright in Africa. And I think that, again, one of the things that I think that most of the operators in the space will need to find a way to work on, will need to find a way to create interesting models that actually tries to solve the problem in a way that is attractive to the current market, because it's a mix. Otherwise, most of the value, it will appear that most of the value will need to be created at the rural area. And so it will require interesting business model to unlock those opportunities. But definitely there's massive opportunities from an investor point of view. There's a lot of opportunity to tap into, and I'm sure at Sean, we are actually very, very interested in supporting and investing in founders in this space, because we understand firsthand what the issues are and what the opportunities, and the opportunities that exist in the space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uche. And we're just going to go to Ofuma to give her closing remark. And Ofuma, it would be very interesting if you can touch a little bit on capacity building, as well as the, capacity building, encouraging the hub to create a specific niche, specific focus for the capacity building of ventures that are emerging within the sector. And also, it would be good to hear on the as well.
Okay. Sorry, I'll leave my camera off this time just because of tech issues. On capacity building, for our incubation program, we run a 6-month incubation program. And these are for very early stage companies, companies who are really at the ideation stage of their business. And that 6-month program runs the whole gamut of teaching them the ABCs of how to start and structure a business, everything from operations management, financial management, fundraising, getting them, to do their pitch deck. We start with getting them to create a pitch deck at the beginning, and then they do one at the end. And even for the incubatees, it's always a marvel to them to see how far they've come, what their pitch decks look like when they started and how it looks now. And we have a bunch of experts who we have in the room to come. Sorry, somebody's mic is on. But we have a bunch of experts who come to talk to them about, everything they need to know in terms of structuring their businesses and getting them impact ready and investment ready. So it even boils down to their HR, getting them to think about founders agreements and how to structure those. It teaches them, the ABCs of fundraising. It teaches them operations management. So at the end of the day, for the companies or for the founders that make it through to the end, there's a pitch contest where another panel of experts are then the ones who select the 7 to 10 of them that make it through the room. But even for those that don't make it to get the seed funding that is given, we continue to support them after the incubation process through a number of other programs that we have for them that keeps them, glued into what they need to be doing in the sector to be able to get ready for funding when it comes. And we also continue to look out for funding opportunities for them. The thing I would say about this process is, it's very intensive. We have a lot of founders because it's early stage and they're still trying to find their feet who drop out of the program. We do find a way to support them by giving them some sort of stipend to get on the program and to stay on the program because a lot of it is virtual.
Right.
And at the end of the day, you still have a few of them who aren't able to meet up because it's, they have to think about their daily bread and butter.
Right.
More important for us is the women who we are not able to get into this program. The percentage of women who run through our capacity building programs or our trainings and our advocacy programs are still at 23%. Would like to see that number go up, and would like to see more women be able to raise money for their clean tech products. We have a lot of women founders. It is twice as harder for them to raise money. And so one of the things that we're trying to do also is to have gender-focused capacity building programs and incubators and accelerators so that we delve deep into the whole psychology of women and fundraising and women and pitching and get more women into the room, because we do know that we see women founders, but they're just not, they're just not getting the funding that they need. So it's going to require continuous iteration and continuous trainings and continuous networking, ability to teach the startup companies how to network and where to network to be able to find the right types of partners, potential investors, and also mentors that will work them through the line from where they are to where they need to be. Thank you, Fadila.
Thank you very much, Efama. We're going to move straight with Terry. Terry, can you please share your last word so that we can move on to the next announcement and then close the session. Hello, Terry, are you with us? Well, if it's a connection issue, it might be linked to electricity, which clearly means that we need to solve a lot of issues related to the energy on the continent. So I would like to lastly thank our panel today, Caleb, Uche, Thierry, and Ifoma that have joined us today to discuss about the investment opportunities that exist within the clean tech, encouraging ventures that are funders that are currently building those ventures that will be investable, and of course the innovation hub that are working towards providing the capacity that those angels, those ventures need in order to have a solid background. And of course, the policymakers, we don't forget you, you're very important in this journey, and would like to encourage the policymakers and policy drivers to continue doing what they're doing, as we all need these stakeholders to come together to create a much more conducive environment for clean tech, for the clean tech sector on the continent. And of course, the sector is very important. And I would like to inform you today that AEDIBNET is actively working on creating a pool of angel investor that will invest specifically in clean tech innovation on the continent. And if you are an angel investor listening to me today, please get in touch with the AEDIBNET Secretariat and we'll give you more information. Thanks again, everyone, for joining this session today. And I'm going to hand over to Fial.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fadila. Thank you, our panelists. This has been a very, very interesting evening. 2 hours, very well spent. Thank you, attendees. Thank you, Muketsi, for moderating the first panel. Thank you, Fadila, as well, for doing such a great job during the last panel. Just a quick announcement. And the next and the final in the series will take place on the 4th of July. 4th of July, it's a date that you should not forget. Okay, so make it a date. Join us 4th of July as we wrap up with smart cities. These are 3-part series leading up to ACES. ACES is Africa Investor Summit. It's happening on from the 2nd to the 4th of November. So it's a hybrid event. We're having it as a hybrid event. We would have local investor meetups across Africa on the 2nd. So if you're looking to host, if you're an investor, you have a solid investor ecosystem in your city and you'd like to host a local investor meeting, please get in touch with us and we'll see how we can make that happen. And then the main conference itself, which is taking place online, is starting on the 3rd and ending on the 4th. So we're looking forward to having you all join us at ACES 2022, which is also the 9th in the series. And on that note, I say thank you, everyone, and have a great evening. It has been a pleasure hosting this program tonight. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Good night, Fial.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to the speakers.
You're welcome. Sorry we couldn't take Q&A. So we'll see you soon.